Hello and welcome to Offend Not, Despise Not, Hinder Not. Pastor Jason Robbins from North Stonington Baptist Church here with my wife Olga. And we have been talking for the last several podcasts about raising children well and recognizing the same amazing potential that God has given them, that he has given us as adults, and recognizing that we had that potential when we were their age as well, and desiring for them to grow in it. We talked last week, which I think would have been when the last podcast was released, about offending not, and not disciplining through manipulation or through fear. And so we're going to pick up that same topic about offending not, and talk about different ways in which we parent children, or that we can parent children, and why some of them are just not good to do. I'm going to begin by reading from Ephesians chapter 6, the first 4 verses. Again, this is a passage of scripture, like most of the ones that we have read here at different times, that most of you have probably heard and read before. But we're making sure that we're looking at the whole of the scripture and not just focusing on maybe the ones that are the verses that are the most well known. Ephesians 6, 1-4 says this: "Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and mother, which is the first commandment with promise, that it may be well with you and you may live long on the earth. And you fathers, do not provoke your children to wrath, but bring them up in the training and admonition of the Lord." So here, children are obviously told, and Paul is quoting from the Old Testament, that there is an honor and a respect and an obedience that God has designated within the parent and child relationship. But he's also telling, particularly the fathers here, that it works both ways. And so there needs to be an honor and a respect for the child, and not closing their capacity, as we've talked in previous podcasts, diminishing their spirit or reducing their curiosity in ways that discourage them from wanting to be trained and directed in the Lord. Is there anything in particular that you want to summarize or remind us of from the previous podcast before we move on?
Sure. Yeah. Last podcast, we talked about how parenting where we use fear as the way to get to where we want to get faster may seem like it's a faster way to get there in the moment when we're angry, but long term, it's not a good investment. It is a much better way to invest in the child understanding the consequences of their decisions, and investing in the relationship, because at the end of the day, we want the children to do the right thing, not because they fear, especially us, but because they love God, they love us. There is a relationship. There is the desire to not grieve someone that loves you. And ultimately, we want them to have the desire to just do the right thing because it is the right thing, and because it makes them the best possible human being. So I think at the end of the last podcast, we were going to talk about 4 different ways of parenting, and how, what it means to be authoritative.
You're jumping ahead.
Am I jumping
You're
ahead?
jumping ahead. Let's start at the beginning. All right. So let's start with, and so obviously these are terms that we are applying. There may be other terms that may be used that may be similar, but for the sake of discussion today, we've broken them down into 4 particular styles of parenting. So we'll start with the first one: permissive. What is permissive parenting?
Well, I think that if you look around, there's a lot of permissive parenting nowadays. It comes from this idea that the child is just like the perfect little human being who will know what to do. And it's, we talk about respecting the personhood of the child. It's not the same as being permissive, right? So, so the first one is permissive.
Mm-hmm.
The second one, and permissive, and we'll unpack that in a little bit, is negative. The second one is neglectful.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Then thirdly, a person can be authoritarian.
Mm-hmm.
And lastly, authoritative. And authoritarian sounds a lot like authoritative. They both come from the word authority, but one has a negative connotation and the other one
Well,
has
and-
positive.
And actually application as well as connotation.
Yes. So let's look. Maybe let's come up with a case study. Let's say there is a kid. You signed him up for the swim team, and the meet is coming, and he says, "I don't want to do it. I'm not good at swimming. I don't like swimming. I'm not going to do it." And so the permissive response is like, well,
And I'll set the stage. And this is in a case where you've had a conversation with the child. You've agreed that this is something
Right.
the child wants to do, and they've been looking forward to it or desiring to do it up to this point.
well, hopefully we didn't just sign up the child to be on the team without talking to them first.
Maybe that would fall under the authoritarian. But anyway, go ahead.
It probably would fall under the authoritarian. So let's say the child says, "I don't want to do it," and I have a choice, right? How am I going to respond? So the permissive way to respond would be, "Oh, well, you know what's best for you. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. It's your life. You will live it. I trust that you're making whatever choice is better for you. Go and live it." Right? And that is permissive because actually this is the opportunity to say, well, actually, you made a promise, you signed up, we had this conversation, the team depends on you, right? And you shouldn't quit when things just get difficult. So letting the child just give up in the situation that seems a little bit hard is not serving him well, right? It's not serving the community well either. And if you think about all the long-term consequences of just letting him do whatever he wants without any kind of support, it's not wise, and it can result to the person who doesn't have any grit, right? We want the children to have some grit and to say, well, this is hard and I actually hate it a little bit right now, but I'm still going to do it, right? Okay, so that was permissive. So the child has the permission to leave because the parent says, whatever you want, you're perfect, just go do it. So then we have another way of parenting, which would be neglectful. Well, we all know that when the child is parented in a neglectful way, the parent is just not there. Maybe emotionally, maybe physically, they're just not present. Maybe they don't care. And so the neglectful response would be, whatever, I don't care. It's your life. You go live it, right? The child is allowed to quit. And this is the permissive parent thinks that he operates out of love. The neglectful parent doesn't care.
So the permissive child, the permissive parent is parenting this way because they believe it's the best way to parent their child. And just
Right.
by allowing the child to choose what they want to do,
Right,
regardless of consequences, just means that ultimately it'll lead them to make the right choice.
right.
The neglectful parent allows them to do what they want simply because they don't really care what they do. And it's easier and less effort for them if they don't do it.
Right. Well, both are less effort for them because it's difficult to navigate through the situation that the child doesn't want to do,
Okay.
right? It's easier to just, because the child may be strong-willed, they may be arguing with you, they may be crying. There could be a lot of different things that are going on. And in a way, it's easier to just say, okay, fine, have your way.
So as we've been saying, that for some of us as parents, it's actually it's the harder choice to not be permissive or neglectful,
Right.
because even if we may care about our children, sometimes we seek the route of less conflict or the less dissension. And so we
Right.
may default towards maybe the permissive parenting
Right.
because it means that we're just not in conflict with our child.
Right. It's the path of least resistance, right? And also, if the personality of the child is stronger than the personality of the parent, which
Mhm.
I think in every family with multiple children, you will encounter at least one child who would be described as a strong-willed child, right? These children are born leaders, right? And they'll grow up, they'll be strong people. They have this incredible potential to influence for good if that's how you raise them. But when they're little, they're just sometimes hard to deal with, right? Because they know what they want and they're vocal about it, and they're not going to give up until they get what they want. So then the next way is to be authoritarian, and it's just like, nope, I signed you up, and well, maybe I didn't ask you about it, because who cares about what you think? We swim in our family, and you are going to swim. No, I don't care that you want to dance. or to play the piano. You are going to swim, right? And that would be, it's kind of like, I decided that this is what you're going to do. There is no conversation about it. There is no dissent. You may not disagree with me. I am the parent. I'm bigger. I'm stronger. I'm the one with the power, and you will do as I say, right? So this is authoritarian,
Mhm.
right?
No, it may not even be, and hopefully not. We're not approaching this like it's some kind of abusive situation. It's just the parenting style is, this is what I
Strong.
said. You're doing what I say. Don't ask me questions. You have to do it. And if you don't like it, tough.
Right. And you have to say, yes, ma'am, right? Or yes, sir. So now authoritative parent is the parent who holds the authority, right? And hopefully that's the parent who, before signing the child up, had a conversation, right? That's the parent who listens and makes decisions together with the child. He doesn't make the decisions for the child, because the authoritative parent trains the child to make their own choices, because choices are so important. It's important to practice choices. And so that parent will say, well, we talked about it and we agreed that you're going to swim this fall. And I see that it's hard for you and you feel like you're not the strongest swimmer. I will be right there cheering. I will bring you to the pool extra times so that you can practice, but you made a commitment. And until the end of the season, I'm going to support you in doing the right thing, which is to stick to your commitment. But I will be hearing you out. And if at the end of the season you still feel like it's not the right sport for you, we will approach it as such the next time when the time comes to sign up, right? So see how that parent did not allow them to quit, but also the child was heard and seen, right? And that parent said, I'm here for you. I'm going to help you be your very best self. And I'm going to teach you the important principles, which is to do what you're supposed to do, to be the part of the team, to keep your commitments, to not give up when the going gets tough, right? But I will love you through it. I will wipe your tears. I will bring you a snack, and I will be the cheerleader who will support you through it.
So because nothing is ever all of one thing or another, and because honestly, all of us as parents have to navigate how to do the right things well, I'm going to make a few statements and then you can speak into this or add to it as you want. So would you say that it's true that in some senses, the authoritative and the permissive parent might actually start in a similar vein? Because there's some kind of consultation with the child about what they want to do, but the authoritative parent is the one who doesn't allow the child to decide whatever they want, regardless of the consequences. They
Right.
both might consider what the child wants, but the authoritative parent recognizes that it's, all things being equal, it's in the child's best interest to follow through on the commitments that they made, if they have the ability to do so, even if they don't feel like it sometimes, right? And for authoritarian and authoritative, there may be some apparent overlap in that both, for wrong reasons, but for different reasons, but they both desire the child to complete the task that they have agreed to do.
Right.
For the authoritative parent, though, they're not only concerned with the action that the child is performing, but they're also trying to address the heart of the child. And so that's where there's age-appropriate discussion or explanation or even reasoning with the child, right? You do it differently with a 5-year-old than you would with a 15-year-old, but you're leading them to the place where they either see that it's good for them to continue to do it, or where they recognize that maybe next time they'll be wiser or more discerning in the decisions that they make about what they want to do.
Right.
But that the following through on the commitment most of the time is the right choice to make.
Right. Well, and both, like, the authoritative parent says, I am the authority over you, just like I'm under authority. And sometimes I do things that I don't feel like doing, actually, most every day, right? When you wake up, most of us do not just feel like going to work and doing, what we have to do in society, but we do it because there is this authority that exists, the authority of God, the authority of society that says, you have to contribute, you have to go to work, right? You have to. So it's just like there are some habits that we build. And just like I'm an adult under authority, you are a child under authority. I'm your authority, I'm your mom or your dad. And I will help you build these habits that will make you a strong human, right? That will be able to function and not give up when things get difficult. But at the same time, I will hear you out. And if the things remain to be difficult, we will either get support or do something different. And we will do this together.
So the authoritarian parent will give a firm no, but probably won't give any kind of explanation. The
Right.
authoritative parent still would give a firm direction,
Right.
but they would offer explanation with the understanding that the child would maybe approach the situation differently the next time as well.
Right.
And so we're not, as a parent who desires to see our child as a born person, as someone who who is cultivating, hopefully, or we're leading them to cultivate their own relationship with God and with those around them, is we're helping them to see that their decisions not only affect themselves, but also affect other people around them.
Absolutely.
And so that doesn't mean that they don't, that everything they do is to their own hurt and to the benefit of others. But we recognize that sometimes we do make decisions to our own hurt, to the benefit of others, because that's part of our God imageness, right? That
Right.
sometimes that we often will do things for others, recognizing that we benefit from that as well.
Yep. And so we're going to close upon this thought. So we hope that our listeners will enjoy. Email us questions if you have questions. And God bless you.
And I'm going to give a preview. It may be one podcast and maybe two, depending on how quickly we get through it. But let's see, here we go. The next topic that we're looking at the next time that we come together. So we just did offend not. So the next time we come together, we will be looking at despise not, how to avoid despising children as persons in the daily life of the home and the life of the church life. In other words, in our homes and in our churches, how do we not despise the presence of the child and count them as just as important as everyone else in those contexts? Until then, God bless.
See you later.